Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at one of the most powerful and practical backup power options that I've looked at so far, and that's the Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus. This is a high capacity, high output power station that's an excellent option for people who want home backup power or off-grid capability without having to do like some sort of permanent installation. If you've been following the news, you know that extreme weather, rolling blackouts, and grid instability are a big problem. We're just now entering what's usually the worst part of hurricane season, and then we'll have to deal with other severe weather as we transition into the colder months. Having something like this will help you keep your most important devices and appliances running through all of that mess. But before we get started though, I would like to thank Jackery for sending the HomePower 3600 Plus for us to take a look at today and for sponsoring this video. When it comes to specs, the 3600 Plus comes with a 3,584 watt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery. That battery chemistry is a big upgrade over older regular lithium-ion batteries since it's safer, handles heat and cold better, and has a much longer lifespan. It's rated to last over 6,000 charge cycles before it reaches 70% of its original capacity, which means you can get real use out of the system for over 10 years. The system is also expandable. You can connect it up to 5 extra batteries, which will give it an overall capacity of 21 kilowatt hours. Now, when it comes to output, the inverter is rated for 3,600 watts of continuous output and can handle up to 7,200 surge watts. That means you can run large appliances like a full-size fridge, deep freezer, or even power tools sometimes at the same time without having to worry about overloading it. Having this much power is really useful if you decide to use the 30 amp outlet on the front of the unit to connect it to like a transfer switch or an RV. And of course, the HomePower 3600 also comes with several more standard plugs as well. It has 420 volt AC outlets, 2 USB-C ports, and 2 USB-A ports. One port that this unit doesn't have though is a 12 volt car outlet. I personally like having one of those, but it's probably not the end of the world that this one doesn't have one, since pretty much all the devices that use it have AC compatible versions too. An example of that would be something like an air mattress pump. You can get them with either a 12 volt plug or a standard AC plug. Then on the side of the unit you have an AC expansion port up at top and the AC output reset buttons right underneath that. Those are sort of the circuit breakers for your power station. Over here you have a DC expansion port, which is where you can connect your expansion batteries, and then next to that you have 2 DC inputs, which is where you plug in your solar panels along with your AC input towards the bottom. Now, if you think you want to pick up a HomePower 3600 Plus, then be sure to use the link in the description below. Jackery is offering special early bird pricing, and if you get it between now and December 31st, it could be eligible for a federal battery tax credit up to 30%. For recharging, the 3600 Plus can handle up to 1,800 watts from a wall outlet or fuel-based generator. This means you can fully recharge it in around 2.5 hours. Then for solar, it can handle up to 1,000 watts of input. Here I have it connected to 2 of Jackery's Solar Saga 500X panels. Under perfect conditions, those could recharge the unit in around 4 hours, but chances are there's always going to be some cloud cover, or at the very least periods of time throughout the day where the panels aren't positioned perfectly. But even with that, 1,000 watts of solar input is still pretty good. You have a decent shot of being able to charge this all the way up or pretty close to it in a day. And connecting the panels to the 3600 Plus is pretty easy. Start by setting out your panels. I really like these 500X models since they fold out like an accordion. You don't have to mess with clipping them to a stand or any mess like that. After that, connect the cable to the panels and plug the other end into the DC input port on the power station, and it should start charging automatically. You can also use solar panels in tandem with a gas generator to recharge it even faster. The HomePower 3600 Plus is also pretty small considering its capabilities. It measures about 19 inches tall, 15 inches wide, and 12 inches deep. It weighs a little over 77 pounds, which is reasonable for something with such a large capacity, but it's still manageable to move around since it does come with wheels and a telescoping handle. Then there are some other features that make the 3600 Plus an excellent choice for backup power. First, it has a UPS or uninterruptible power supply that can switch over in less than 10 milliseconds. That's a big plus for anyone who relies on sensitive equipment like CPAP machines or would need to keep certain electronics like routers running during a power outage. The batteries, in addition to having lithium iron phosphate chemistry, are made of ceramic membrane cells, which makes them more heat resistant, safer, and more durable than other types of batteries. And like all other new Jackery power stations, the HomePower 3600 Plus is compatible with the Jackery app, so you can control your backup power source from pretty much anywhere as long as you have internet access or close enough to it to use Bluetooth. Now, compared to Jackery's other large power stations, the 3600 Plus gives you nearly 3,600 watt-hours of battery capacity, which puts it right between the HomePower 3000 and the 5000 Plus. The 3000, like the name suggests, gives you just under 3,100 watt-hours, while the 5000 Plus gives you just over 5,000 watt-hours. That system is really aimed at whole home backup power, though. It's bigger, heavier, and a lot more expensive, but if you want the ability to power your entire home, including 240-volt appliances, that's where the 5000 Plus starts to shine. The HomePower 3600 Plus and the HomePower 3000 both offer 3,600 watts of continuous output and up to 7,200 surge watts, which is enough to run most household appliances and a few power tools simultaneously. But the 3600 Plus does have some important upgrades, the biggest one being its expandable capacity. The HomePower 3000 doesn't have that, and it also doesn't have wheels. You have to carry it anywhere that you want to take it. So between the two, I'm kind of liking the 3600 Plus a little better. Then the 5000 Plus jumps up to 5,000 watts continuous and over 14,000 surge watts and supports true 120 240 volt split phase power. Like the HomePower 3600 Plus, it can serve as a very large portable system, but can also be used as a whole home power system. But again, it comes with a higher price tag, it's a lot heavier, and not nearly as portable as this one. So if you're wanting something that can power the most important things in your home, but is still portable enough to take camping or roll around wherever you need it in your house, then the HomePower 3600 Plus is a very good compromise between smaller, more portable systems and larger whole home options. So now that we've talked specs and how it compares to other power stations, let's talk about when you may want something like this. Obviously, this is going to work really well for home backup power during blackouts and other power outages, and that's good since that's the big reason that most people want a generator, especially if they live in an area that has like a lot of storms or rolling blackouts. If you lose power, all you need to do is roll it wherever you need it and plug in your stuff. You could use it to keep your fridge or box freezer running for quite a while or charge cell phones numerous times. You can also use it for other things like fans, or if you still have to get work done, your computer and Wi-Fi. Then if you or a loved one has to use a CPAP or relies on medications that have to be refrigerated, something like this could prevent a little minor inconvenience from turning into a legit emergency. Now, like I said earlier, this has enough ports that you can plug several devices into it all at once, and that's going to be good enough for most short-term power outages. But if you want a little more capability, the HomePower 3600 Plus can also be used with a manual transfer switch. To use one of those, just plug the right cable into the 30 amp outlet on the front of the power station and connect the other end to your transfer switch. The whole process should only take like a couple of minutes. And that probably is the best way to use the 3600 Plus if you plan to run a lot of devices at once, especially if they're in different parts of your house. While you can run extension cords, those can be a big tripping hazard, especially if you're as clumsy as we are in my family. And if you're able to take advantage of its expandability, you could run things for a very long time. According to Jackery, if you max it out at 21 kilowatt hours, you could run a fridge for like 14 days. Of course, your fridge would have to be a very energy efficient model and you couldn't run anything else, but 21 kilowatt hours is a ton of energy and would give you a good buffer if you went a few days without sunlight. And if we were in a longer term situation, something like the HomePower 3600 Plus would keep running long after most people run out of gas or propane for their fuel-based generators. I know that I always say this in videos like this, but if you can get two of the main units or even pair this with something smaller like an Explorer 2000, you should be able to stay going indefinitely. Just use one to power devices and appliances while the other is charging from panels. You could also keep a fuel-based generator on hand in case you need to charge one up during periods without sunlight or just do it real quick before a storm. Then, of course, this can also be used for more fun stuff too. If you're into RVing or you've got like a hunting cabin, you can do pretty much anything that you might need to with this. The same 30 amp outlet that allows you to connect it to a transfer switch can also be used to connect it directly to your RV's electrical system, and that's nice for a couple of reasons. First, you won't have to listen to a generator humming all night, and then second, it'll allow you to use your RV in more areas. A lot of campgrounds don't allow generators, and if you're somewhere like that and they also don't have hookups, then you're gonna be roughing a little bit. Having something like the HomePower 3600 just gives you more options that you can play around with. So with all that in mind, who is the Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus actually for? First, if you're a homeowner who wants serious backup power without having to mess with a permanent installation, then this is a very good option. It can be set up in just a couple of minutes, and even in its most basic form, should be able to run your most important devices for like a day or so, especially if you're strategic with the stuff that you're trying to power with it. Then the HomePower 3600 would also work really well if you're a renter who's short on space. Since it's basically the same size as like a small rolling suitcase, you shouldn't have any trouble finding a place for it in your closet, and many times solar is the only option for people if they live in an apartment. Some of those buildings are so close together that running a fuel-based generator just isn't safe, and at the very least, running one's going to draw a lot of attention to you. Solar panels, on the other hand, can be suspended in a window or set up on your patio, where at the very least you can keep an eye on them. Like I mentioned a second ago, it's also a good choice if you do RVing or other vehicle-based outdoor activities, and it'd also be useful if you have outbuildings on your property that don't have grid power. You could use this to run lights, window air conditioning units, and almost any power tool that you have. As a general rule, if it uses a standard wall outlet, you can use this to power it. The HomePower 3600 Plus would also be invaluable if you rely on certain kinds of medical equipment. If you have a CPAP, all you need to do is roll this up next to your bed and then plug in your device. And since it has such a large capacity, you shouldn't have any problem running things overnight. Now, if you think that you want to pick up a HomePower 3600 Plus, then be sure to use the link in the description below. And if you want to see reviews of the HomePower 3000 or Explorer 5000 Plus, then be sure to check out these videos. Once again, I'd like to thank Jackery for sending this to us and for sponsoring us today. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.